Let's talk about sending messages and videos to your dashboards. First Arriving gives agency admins the ability to push real-time messages and scheduled videos or messages directly to your large screen dashboards. This is separate from the user account content feed, and these tools are designed specifically for your wall-mounted displays and kiosk screens. In order to send a message, simply navigate to Messages, which is in the admin panel on the left-hand side of your screen as depicted here. So the first step is go to the agency admin dropdown, click Messages, and then you'll see in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, a big red button that says Add Message. Once you click that Add Message button, you'll end up in a screen that looks just like this one. And you'll start by entering an internal name for the message up in this name box up at the top. This name is strictly for your internal reference only. It does not appear anywhere on your dashboard. So whatever you put on there is just for tracking and recognition purposes within the system itself. So something like road closure alert or training station 7, those types of things work really well. You might also have some kind of internal naming convention and stick to that. The big piece to take away is this message does not display anywhere else but right here in your admin panel. Once you click that Add Message button, you should get to a screen that looks like this one. And you're going to start by entering an internal name for the message. It's important to remember that this name that you put in this top box here does not go to your dashboards. Okay, that will not be presented anywhere. This is strictly for an internal reference only and does not appear externally. So if you have standard naming convention for how you label your messages, stick to that. But it should be clear and concise as to what that message is. So again, you know what it is, you know what it's saying, how to reference it, how to categorize it, and also maybe how to use it in future messaging as somewhat of a template. So the next thing we want to do is select how you want the message to be presented on the dashboard display. So we're going to slide down a little bit. We're going to press up the schedule type, and we're going to go to location. And you'll notice that in this location, in the location box, we have full screen, header, and ticker. And they are just what they say. Full screen takes over your entire screen. The header is just a header bar that will present the information that you put in. And the ticker will run across the bottom of your screen with the message that you populate into that message box. So for this example, we're going to click full screen. And you'll notice underneath that, there's a box that says full screen format. And we're going to pop down this message here, or the selection window, and you can either have no image, image on the left with text on the right, image to the right, text on the left, or image at the top with text on the bottom. So you can select the format that you want and think about how your information is going to present and maybe what is going to be the most eye-catching to the people. Remember, this is a message that goes out typically in a quick fashion. You really want to grab people's attention from across the room. The next thing you want to do is come down to the headline box. Enter a short, clear, concise headline, something bold and immediately attention-grabbing. Choose the background and the headline colors below. So you have the colors here. You can pick the colors you want as your background and your headline. Again, you can get super creative here. Think about the message you're putting out and making sure that it is attention-grabbing to your audience. Once you have your background and your headline selected, keeping in mind that you want the high contrast combination, like a white text on a dark background for that immediate recognition and legibility from across the room, or maybe on a screen that's mounted high up on a wall and across the room. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to slide down to the content window. As you consider the body of your content, think about keeping it concise. Dashboards are meant for quick scanning and not for reading large bits of content. So 1 to 2 sentences is a great practice to have in the body of your content. It is usually the best approach to getting your quick message out there. Again, clear, concise, and direct to the point. Now that you have all of that configured, we're going to scroll back up towards the top, and you'll notice there's a scheduling type option up here. So you have two primary options when it comes to scheduling. Show now, which sends the message immediately, and it'll appear on the selected devices as soon as the next display refresh comes around. So again, there's an automatic cycle of your dashboards pinging back to first arriving. On that refresh cycle, it'll come back up as soon as that pings. Or you can schedule the message using schedule, which lets you define a date range with a start and end date, specific days of the week, and even time windows for when the message should display. So think about the message you're putting out and the personnel that you're trying to reach, and when they're most likely to be in the presence of your large screen dashboards, and select your choice by clicking the associate pillbox underneath scheduling type. If you pick the show now, it typically will show up on your dashboards within 3 minutes of you clicking save below. Now, if you click schedule, watch what happens to the screen when I click the schedule pillbox. It opens up another section for you to get specific about when you want this message to go out. Now, of course, it has days as your first option. So pick the days of the week that you want to go out. You can pick numerous, or you can just pick one. You can pick every other day, whatever configuration you want. If you get in there, you're like, well, I need to redo that. There's a little clear button over here. It'll clear it all out and you can start over. But pick the days of the week that you want it to show. If you don't want to add all 7, there's a nice little convenient all days button right here for you to pick. Now, the other piece is, when is this message appropriate to go out? So you can pick the date range of when you want this message to start and when you want it to start or start to stop. And thinking about, again, the operations of your organization, the message you're putting out, and the intended audience, you can also come in here and fill out the hours of those days that you want it to show. So again, you'll pick your start time and your end time for those days. So you can come in here and pre-schedule when this goes out and touch it once and not have to worry about it, knowing that you have a stop time and an end date up here on the date range. So the last time that it's going to show is on the date and the stop time that you have for that message. So you can pre-schedule this, push it out, or send it ahead of time and know that it's going to go out on time and it's going to end when you want it to end. And since you're going to set it and forget about it, let it do its thing, it's always good to preview your message for typos and readability before you send it. So we're going to scroll back down and you'll see there's a gray button here that says preview message. If we had put in some content here, and I'll just put in a test headline, and we'll get real creative and do test message. Here's your content. And then we have a white background with a red header. And just for giggles, let's show now so we can see it. And let's pick ticker. Now we go back down here and hit preview message. And there is the preview. So now you can see what it's going to look like when it does release to your screens, to your dashboards. You can check for spelling, you can check for punctuation, you can think about the conciseness of your message, right? Do a good review before you hit that save button. So it's going to close that out. And then to take the next step here, your agency should already be filled out, but then you can come down here to the devices page, or devices box, I should say, and you can select the devices that you want to push this message to. If you manage multiple agencies, or maybe you have multiple devices and dashboards throughout your organization, you'll want to choose the appropriate devices within that organization. So the agency should be already set. Now, maybe you're even with a couple of different departments, or you manage the settings for a couple of different organizations. You want to double check and make sure that you have the appropriate agency selected. I'll throw that in there, not assuming that everybody's just with one organization. But the next piece is to go down to that devices piece. So think about your audience before selecting, and a staffing change affecting, is it a staffing change that affects all units or all divisions? Then it needs to go out to all devices. a station or unit specific apparatus change or equipment modification or schedule change, right? We want to target only the relevant screens. So before you push a message out, think about your intended audience, what that message is, and then come in here and select the devices that are most appropriate for receiving that message. Button that says save and back. Once you do that, it'll save all of your settings, it'll schedule it, or it will start the cycle of preparing it so that it is ready for the next refresh cycle if you selected to post it now. Now, if you're not sure when you might use this functionality, here are some of the most common scenarios where dashboard messaging adds real value to your organization. Alerts and emergency notifications such as equipment out of service, road closures, upcoming severe weather or severe weather warnings, daily reminders such as check-in times, special teams meetings, equipment maintenance issues, or maybe some staffing and operations updates like overtime needs or leadership meetings or a temporary assignment change. Think about training and event announcements such as upcoming community events, visitor briefings, dignitary visits, or upcoming training opportunities. And policy or safety bulletins, like things like SOP changes taking effect or safety reminders, or maybe even operational notices and policy acknowledgement deadlines can be some of the great applications for the messaging function. Now, the key tip for messaging is keep your headline short and compelling. The dashboard viewer should grasp the message in under 3 seconds. So we have a short period of time and we want them to get the message. And after a message expires or is no longer needed, clear it from your queue so you always have what is current and active on your screens. Now, it's also important as you start using this functionality to properly manage your message page. So once you start using the messages, you can see all the scheduled or active messages at a glance in one place. So to edit or a message, simply click edit way over here on the far right hand side under actions. Go in, make your changes, and click the green save and back button at the bottom of the screen, and that's all you need to do. Now to remove a message, use the delete button, which is over on the far right hand side next to the edit button. The delete option is something that will remove it completely from your memory. It will no longer be archived. And when you click the delete button, it will ask you if you're sure before you continue. So if there's a double check there. You think about this too. You can also use an existing message as a template. So deleting it isn't always the best case scenario. When you keep those, it keeps a format that you can repurpose over time, and it makes it easier for you to go in and set a message and get it out versus having to create one from scratch every time. Now, videos is another great way to message your members of your organization. And the videos section, which is also under the admin panel down a little bit further here, is set up just like the messaging functionality. So once you come to videos, click add video, the scheduling, the type, the platform, all that is the same. The only difference here will be you are limited to the platform that is supported. So we use YouTube playlist, and Vimeo. And all you need to do is grab the URL and drop it in this video URL box. The rest of this functions the exact same way as your message section. So again, you can schedule it. You can pick a unique name that does not publish to your dashboard. And you can pick your schedule date and time or show now. And you can also pick the devices or all devices to make it easy if you want to spread it across your organization.